Two, three. Welcome back to another episode of Not That Important Podcast. Obviously, as a Pakistani cricket fan, there's nothing that can alleviate the pain of being eliminated from such a prestigious tournament, unless, of course, a very particular other team is also eliminated. So much so that for the first time ever, we have a very good friend of the podcast on as a guest, the boy with the golden voice, also an Arsenal fan, so you can say he just loves pain in his life. Zain Noor, aka ZN. Welcome onto the podcast.
Ayo.
Welcome, Zen.
Cheers, man. Fire intro, fire intro. I respect it.
We got a quick question for you before we start off.
Okay.
कोई क्रिकेटर पसंद सी कोई पहला
उन सबके सामने ना शुरू में ही बेइज्जती करवाओगे सारे क्रिकेटर्स
सारे cricketers.
Gill, man. Literally the same version of Gill showed up in the final.
Literally, bro.
Same energy, same energy.
Exactly that. Like Arman was saying, yeah, nothing gives us energy like India losing a final, bro.
Oh, never, never, never. I don't know
हमारी
what
टीम
it
जितनी
is.
भी
It's like,
बकवास हो
is it just a thing for like anything? Because like even in football, if Spurs, well, it's not that like proportionate, but obviously when India loses, it's way bigger.
Something else
But
entirely.
that's just because of how much dominance they have in the sport. Like
yeah
And
Spurs is bullshit anyway, so who cares?
Spurs and India comparisons, I guess bottlers, maybe there
Yeah, no,
that's
well,
where it ends, I guess. But
there's a trend there. Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, insane.
But one second. I don't want to get into this game. Okay, we're gonna get into this game, but I have a question for both of you before we get into this game, and that question is कि हर मैच का रिव्यू आया था, लेकिन जो आखिरी मैच था पाकिस्तान वर्सेस इंग्लैंड, उस पे मुझे कोई रिव्यू नजर नहीं आया.
So
उस पे हम क्या
this
बात करते हैं ब्रो
this
वो तो
question
टॉस
can
पे
only
खत्म
be
हो
asked by
गया
Arman, answered by Arman.
Bro, Arman is literally the fucking Babar Azam of podcasters, bro. He vanishes when you need him.
Exactly,
Like, where is he? Please show up. This is when I need to hear your views and feel better. But no show.
I've tried to resign like Babar Azam from this podcast 4 or 5 times.
लेकिन वो
After
PC
various
unlike
defeats, but
PCB मैंने इस्तीफा नहीं accept किया इसका,
तुमने
bro.
इस्तीफा नहीं accept किया मेरा तो I'm here but I'm not that motivated anymore.
He's not gonna let you go, bro. He's not gonna let you go.
Zian, man, you tell us,
But
man. This particular podcast was at your request.
dude, this is
So
like I'm so happy I'm on this. Like I listen to this podcast. I swear to God, I'm not even making any of this up. Whenever there's a new episode, मैं सुबह सुबह like release हुआ होता है, मैं लगाता हूँ, I have my breakfast to it. Whenever I'm walking to uni or something, I listen to it, bro. It's so good. I love it.
thank you,
I
bro.
just feel
तुम्हारे
like
से
I
views
should
आते
drop
हैं
it
हमारे
more.
सारे.
Literally, bro.
बस अब पसंद आता है इसीलिए देता हूँ ना views.
Bad respect, bro. Zian is an OG. We're gonna get you to sing on here later, but before that, bro,
But
I want to ask you if you had
funny,
any
yeah.
particular favorite moment in the final while watching.
In the final, oh,
Yeah,
I 1,000,000% have the best moment in the final. Okay, there were so many, but there is this one moment which is my absolute favorite. Okay, so the fucking game is going on. Okay, and India are like you would say they were fucked by that point. Okay, they knew it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the writing wasn't written in stone or anything, but they knew it. Okay, and the fucking camera pans to Ranveer Singh. Okay.
Yes.
Guy,
Bro,
this
okay,
guy
before you say yeah, exactly.
bro, stop doing. You're fucked, okay? You're fucked.
So
Just
he's
accept it.
basically
He's doing this
tapping
thing.
his chest and being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're here,
No, okay,
relax."
so first it panned to him, okay? They showed him doing this for like a second and then it panned away. They showed a ball, then they went back to him and they showed it like for a good 5-10 seconds, okay? And this guy started doing his theatrics and
Bro,
shit.
इसकी
And the
overacting
second
खत्म ही नहीं हुई
he
थी.
stops doing it, and the next ball happened, the guy got out, bro.
Yes.
Shami got out on the next ball. Like, You
That
can't
leads me
write
to my
this, man.
favorite moment because as soon as that happened, like you heard, obviously Pakistan ka favorite coach, Mr. Matthew Hayden, wo baitha wala commentary box where he was like, "Well, Diwali is well and truly over. There's going to be no fireworks from Sky
Bro,
tonight."
Hados was
I
loving
love
it.
That's
it.
Hados was
disrespectful. That's
loving it, bro. On
disrespectful.
commentary, all he could talk about was how the crowd was silent, and you could sense in his voice कि उसको इतनी खुशी मिल रही थी.
Hados loved it. Hados loved it. Nice, yaar. But the other really close moment was just the halftime performance where they just sang India Jeetega for 10 minutes. And then guess what? India nahi jeeta, which begs the question,
Wait,
why would you do that?
bro, not only that, if you saw the drone show at the end, उन्होंने champions लिखा था, उन्होंने Australia लिखा भी नहीं क्योंकि they hadn't even thought that far ahead. And then if you guys saw the video of Modi going into the dressing room, like even
Yes,
I would not have
bro,
wanted to
it
be any
looks
of the
scary.
Indian players there, bro. He was grabbing
Yeah,
their
it looked
hands.
really
It was
scary.
like I saw you see Kohli's face. Kohli's like, "Boss, like fuck
Bro,
off."
it wasn't
Why are
definitely
you
Kohli,
here?
but if you saw KL Rahul also was like, bro, like, why is this guy here? Why is he talking to us? And he's like, Delhi आओगे आप लोग तो मैं बुलाऊंगा घर पे." What?
They're in your state, bro.
Did you see?
Hugs,
Did you
tum
see
kya?
the publicity stunt when he full hugged Shami as well?
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you're
I
doing
see
here,
what you
bro.
did there. Yeah.
He's playing the long game, bro. Elections are coming up.
Oh yes, of course, of course. Gotta take all
Anyways,
the
we
votes.
won't get too much into the politics. I do have to
Yeah,
flame
yeah,
Hux a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah, you cut
Hux
that
to
part out. That was
नहीं,
definitely.
we're not cutting it, bro. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या हमारे
Oh,
2 followers कम हो जाएंगे कौन देखता है वैसे भी bro ऐसी कौन सी बात है
fair,
शायद
fair.
ये तो इंडिया तो तुम्हारी फेवरेट टीम थी ब्रो क्या हो गया उनको
Bro, मैंने तुम्हें उस दिन मैसेज क्या किया था? It was the long con. The
Hux put
ultimate
the
jinx.
jinx on them. Hux
The
put the jinx
ultimate
on them in the
jinx, bro.
beginning. Did you guys have any like this is the first time ever where India's lost and I've had like even an ounce of sympathy for them in my
Yeah.
heart at all.
No, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I have like the utmost respect for their fans, respect to their team. They played insane. Okay, fans were also amazing. Like I saw like the at Ahmedabad like 130,000, however many. You know the atmosphere and everything. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't make it any better for them
Yeah.
to win.
I agree completely. Like this team like deserved in terms of like winning the trophy. They did everything right. They played outstanding. You spoke about their fans. Obviously, they don't like we've been there last year, T20 World Cup final. We've been there before to Australia. We know what Australia does to teams in these big games. The guys I don't
Mhm.
feel sorry for are those ex-cricketers of India's who've been talking a lot of
Oh
shit.
yes.
Virinder Sehwag
Oh
with
my
his
god,
Pakistan Zinda Bhag and Irfan Pathan
Bro,
with
what
all
was
his
that about?
nachna and
Oh,
like
where
it's
did that even
uncalled
come
for.
from?
Like the thing is like if fans on Twitter are doing this sort of behavior, like whatever, bro, लोग आजकल
Yeah.
पाकिस्तान में भी ऐसे हैं,
But
इंडिया में भी ऐसे हैं, हर जगह ऐसे हैं, लेकिन at least like when you have some following, you have to have a little bit of dignity with which you carry yourself and the way you behave.
yeah.
Or
Just
now,
like us, no?
just
no,
like
but
us.
now well, they summoned it.
They summoned it
But
out.
no,
I had another question for Zien because Zien's obviously a music guy. Then he dances at everybody's mandis and stuff too. He's a born entertainer. So I ask you, bro, when you're happy, like Irfan Pathan, you maybe थोड़ा भंगड़ा भंगड़ा कर लोगे अफगान जलेबी पे fair enough. लेकिन जब तुम्हारी टीम वर्ल्ड कप में हारती है तो फिर तुम किस गाने पे नाचोगे?
किस गाने पे नाचेगा भाई?
मैं रोया.
वही होगा, bro.
That's the only one that adds up. But you guys were talking about your favorite
Nari
moments.
Kutti.
मजे तो हमने काफी कर लिए. In terms of cricket, if I mention like my moment of the match, honestly, the entire first power play, it was incredible cricket, especially from Australia. It was a level above, and the fielding was outstanding, on point. The bowling strategies. Rohit on the other hand comes out, continues the aggressive approach. That was something like we had in mind, right? Before the game, okay, India like usually tends to get defensive in big games, but they did not do that at all against New Zealand. And he came out here again with the same intent and aggressive approach. But then that move from Australia, bringing Maxwell into the power play, very interesting at that time. And then the catch from Travis Head. I said, my moment of the game would be that entire first power play, but that catch encapsulated all of that in one moment. Just Rohit's already gotten a 4 and a 6, but he continues to take the game to Australia and essentially loses his wicket there.
That was most definitely like in the field, Australia were unbelievable. Like I've never seen some bro store shot boundaries. Like you would put your house on it that's gonna be a boundary, and these guys were stopping it. Like they were ending up saving like 20, 30 runs and then getting catches like that as well. I think they were 100% efficient in catching in the knockout games.
Yeah, and that stat came up that Australia was the worst catching side in terms of percentages. But when it comes to knockout games, every aspect of their game just goes to another level entirely.
I think Zian brought up a great point there with like the boundaries that were like sure shot going, and then each time an Australian fielder comes
Plus,
like
plus, if you remember, that was like right at the start.
Exactly.
So that was their mission, I think, like just shut up the crowd then and there, because these little acts of brilliance, they are so demotivating, bro. Like even just through the screen you can tell. So in the stadium, with how much tension there was in the atmosphere, to do things like that, it really helps gain that extra percentage that you need.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to your point, like with each one of those stops, you can actually hear, that breath,
Yeah,
like that,
fall in the volume as
you
well.
straight up, like they had that gasp every time one of those fielders came out of nowhere.
Yes.
And not only was the fielding excellent, but just the level of planning. Like with Rohit, that deep point back, and so like to encourage Stark to pitch the ball up and actually be aggressive, take the attack to Rohit. They kept that fielder back to offer some protection as well. And that was how it started, and it just continued on that line where every single phase of the game they had a plan for how to execute their plans. Like Pat Cummins came in, started bowling cutters immediately, and obviously we'll talk about the pitch, but like they read it superbly, man.
I think that brings me to one of my other favorite parts. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but exactly what you were saying there. Like I think another awesome moment for me was like when they lost Kohli and they had to send Jadeja at 6 and they were like hiding Sky. I'm like, yeah, Sky is just like a glorified ifty. Like
Very-
that's all he is, bro.
very
Like
good point.
Jadeja's coming in at
What
6.
was that
Nobody.
decision, man?
Honestly,
I get
when
the thing was, bro, I get it because I don't think they trusted Sky, and this is like a weakness that they always had, and just nobody had like exposed it
But-
yet. But if you're
but
playing a World
surely
Cup
that's-
final and fucking Jadeja is playing at 6, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like it looks
Yeah,
T20-ish
exactly.
almost.
No, but also like when Sky does eventually go in, that's gonna weigh in on his mind as well, because you've broken the traditional order of whatever.
I
and
didn't-
Now you're
For
in a
sure.
weird situation anyway.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
So it's
I didn't necessarily think sending Jadeja was bad because, like, with Sky, I guess they were trying to limit it to like that T20 sort of mindset where he just comes out and hits. Because I don't think this guy, as good of a player as he is, he doesn't look entirely comfortable in one days. But having said, like, you're playing him as a pure batsman in the top 6. Like, fine, we talk about Ifti, we talk about other sort of players. They at least offer something else. Sky is playing as a pure batsman. You can't be hiding that player
like
or
an
being
Asif.
worried about
Yeah.
sending him in at that point, right?
Yeah, I wasn't even saying it from like an overly analytical point of view. I'm just sitting there. It's a World Cup final, and Jadeja's at 6, and Sky is like their Asif Ali, and I'm like this mighty greatest team of all time. Like can't send their number 6 batter out with more than 15 overs to play. So that's what made me laugh more than anything. That these guys were supposed to be the Australias of like the early 2000s, but their number 6
Yep.
can't bat at number 6 because he's a T20 player.
And we talk about like him actually being sent out, but what about earlier? They lost 3 wickets early, and Rahul and Kohli completely went like, and Kohli to some extent because he'd gotten a positive start, his strike rate was still good, but Rahul did not even attempt to up the ante at all. I think he hit that one sort of like reverse scoop over the keeper for 4, but that was the only boundary he hit, and in fact it was the only boundary he attempted. Like he didn't even try, just because I think in the back of their minds they were so worried about playing the 50 overs from like over 10, and that shows a lack of confidence in what's to come, right?
Yeah, Kohli's innings was actually like, it sort of reminded me of Babar's innings against India at Ahmedabad.
Exactly.
Yes.
That same energy, and it's just not helping the team at that.
It was a very
Yeah.
similar innings.
Even though it was, I understand his perspective, but still,
No, and it was the same thing, right? With Babar in that match, like we understood why they were playing that way. And to be fair, like we were 150 for 2 and 30 overs. if you look at India and compare India's game in the final versus the way Pakistan batted in that game, the only difference was that Pakistan didn't have the start from Rohit Sharma at the top. Otherwise, if you take those runs
Yes.
away, it was the exact same score on the board. It was the exact same situation. Rohit just gave them a little bit more freedom to be able to bat a little deeper. And then obviously they didn't have as big of a collapse as Pakistan did.
I thought Kohli played okay, bro. I thought.
No, I'm not
even,
criticizing his
like,
innings
He
at
played
all.
okay,
Yeah.
for sure. He
yeah.
played okay, but
They
the
needed
way
the
he
100
got
from
out, like
him.
stupid,
Yeah,
sort of stupid way he got out was, it's
it
somewhat
was soft.
reminiscent
It
of
was
that.
really similar to how
It's very
Babar got
soft
out,
dismissal.
hitting on. And I think when he got
Yeah.
out, like KL's innings looked worse because, like in a World Cup final, at that point, I understood what they were doing. But then when Kohli got out, I think KL really got lost. Then in terms of how do I play this now? I think they had to, for India's sake, bat together for probably another
Just
10 odd overs.
coming back to Rohit, do you guys
Right.
think it, like, I haven't heard anyone talk about this, though the way he's been batting aggressively, he had a 6 and a 4 and then taking on, because I know that modern cricket, the way it goes, like, you're applauded for that sort of approach. I'm a huge fan of what he did throughout the World Cup and the intent that he showed. So I don't necessarily see an issue with that. But if you, like, Australia clearly identified that the pitch was slow and it wasn't a 300 plus wicket. But did India miss a trick there with Rohit and just like continuing to go hard?
But Shahi, I think if you going into this game, if you would ask any Indian fan, would you guys take 47 of 31 for Rohit? I think all of them would shake your hand on that
Yeah.
one, because that's what he was doing throughout the tournament. Now, if that's your high risk, high reward game.
Yeah.
If your other batsmen aren't able to perform, then you aren't going to get on a higher total. But that was just what his game plan was throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
And it's not really him, it's the others who haven't been pulling their weight. I mean, in that game.
In that game.
No, I agree with Zian, and I think you're kind of screwed regardless of what you do, because of course you'd want him to make
Yeah.
100, but if he plays differently, then you say that the occasion got to him. And then we saw that in the second innings, he gave Siraj the ball instead of, he gave Shami the ball instead of Siraj. So
Yes.
everybody's questioning him for the change he did make, right? So you can't win if you're Rohit in that
For sure. And I
situation.
think we spoke a little bit about sympathy, and he's the guy I feel most sympathetic for, because I feel like Kohli, regardless of whether he won this World Cup or not, he has achieved so much in this game. Like, he's essentially established himself as the greatest ODI
It wouldn't
player.
have elevated him to the same degree it would have elevated.
Exactly. I'm sure like Kohli is devastated right now as well. But as far as his legacy goes, his legacy is secure. With Rohit, I feel like within India, even, again, I can't speak always to that just based on what I'm seeing and hearing. I don't feel like
The parallels to MS Dhoni are never gonna materialize, basically.
Yeah, I think he needed this with the way India had built this World Cup up to be everything for them. Like, they obviously we all go into World Cup hoping our team wins, but they like not only hoped, expected, and the way things aligned for them, they were going in as sure as you can be that this is going to be their tournament. And we always talk about with South Africa and the C word. 10 years, no trophy. Best
It's
teams.
them. They are the biggest
continuously.
joker in the world.
They have the best teams
It has
going
to be,
into the
like, there's-
semifinals, knockout stages every time.
Yeah.
Look, you run through it completely. 2013, they won the Champions Trophy. 2014, T20 World Cup. 2016, T20 World Cup. 2017, obviously losing to Pakistan. 2019 World Cup, favorites in the semifinal against New Zealand.
I would say they're worse than South Africa, Shay. Sorry to cut you off, and I'm cutting you off, but you're gonna just name every calendar year that comes after that, because that's the truth, right?
Facts.
Like South Africa, when the C word happened to
bad.
them, there was a World Cup or a T20 World Cup every 2 to 4 years,
Yes.
right? These guys have had 3 opportunities in the last 12 months itself.
For sure. In this generation, you're playing a tournament every year, whether it be Champions Trophy, T20 World Cup, ODI World Cup. You have all the resources in the world. Everything is aligned for you. This tournament's being played at home. Everything seems to be coming together for you all to win the World Cup. And it's just not happening, man.
And let's look at some of the teams they've lost to as well, right? Not to disrespect ourselves here, but वो हमारे बच्चों की टीम से हारे थे in 2017.
Yes.
Like, I don't think Shadab had
Absolutely.
hit puberty yet when he played in that Champions Trophy final.
Bad
Then you go to
है.
2016.
Bring it back.
Bad. Bring him,
Bad.
bro. Shave uska beard shave karwa do, bro.
Not that
2016,
important.
not that important, bro. 2016, they lost at home to a West Indies team who didn't have a fast bowler,
Mm.
and then they lost right now to an Australian team that it looks like in a T20 ka team utara tha. Honestly, if you go through their order, it doesn't look like a one-day team,
Bro,
and they're
dude,
always
when they played the T20 World Cup 2 years ago, and it seemed like they played their like test team in the T20 World Cup, they went out and won that. Over here, it looks like they've played like a T20 team in a one-day World Cup. Like they just pick their best
and they
players. They don't plan. Like obviously, there's some level of planning, but the way India, Pakistan were like debating selections and headaches for like 2 years, we're getting everything right, like all our plans. These guys just show up, man, and they get the job done.
100%. And I
Killers,
mean,
man.
like,
That's what champions are, bro. That's what
that's what
champions are.
champions are. And honestly, man, like, yeah, we're being dicks here, but they are the biggest bullies in cricket. And I don't think any of our Indian viewers are gonna disagree with that either. So when they
Bro, they're
lose,
not
there's a
watching
different
anymore.
level of. I don't think they're watching anymore
They're not
either.
watching anything. bro, bro, the moment where the guy ran on with the Palestine shirt,
Yes,
that's
That
the
was
has
it.
to be
moment of the
mentioned.
That
game.
was it.
Obviously,
So
That was up
bad.
there.
Oh, bro, that made me really
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were trying to censor our
Dude.
players, right, from saying anything about the whole issue.
Yes.
And then
In
for a
fact,
guy to get on
our
at that point,
our
our
own
board
board has
itself,
been accomplice in that
yeah,
as well.
yep,
They
Really?
gave Rizwan a lot of shit for doing it. If you notice, Babar just posted about it recently after he's resigned from captaincy. So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on our side, but you
yeah.
have to, for someone to go in Ahmedabad in that climate with everyone who's in
that
that
city,
stadium at
in
that
that
time,
city,
like it takes
oh
a
my
lot.
god,
At
that
that
guy's
moment, bro.
yeah, at that moment, that guy's the true
And if
goat out
you,
here.
I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the guy like running
Yeah,
past all the
I
security,
saw.
and bro,
It was incredible.
that required some
I was
skill.
wondering if he like practiced it before, like उसने जाके hurdle race practice की होगी.
No, I didn't make like it's fine. I honestly only have respect for the fans and everything, but the Indian, like the government and BCCI and all of these fucking organizations, I just love it as a FU to
Yeah.
them that they lost. Because honestly, bro, okay, so these guys were like to us that we're not gonna come to Pakistan for whatever Asia Cup and what, because it's a dangerous country. Meanwhile, Pakistan can't play its games in Mumbai because it's too
Exactly.
dangerous there. So if Mumbai is too dangerous, what's to say that, I don't know, Delhi or something can't be as dangerous? Like, you're fucking lying straight up to us. You just want to try to deplete our cricket board in every single way you can for some reason. And it's just funny because they've become so fucking massive in the world, but we still live rent free in their fucking heads.
That
So it makes me very happy that
exactly.
these
And to
bastards
add to that
lost.
point, like a lot of my Indian friends or the ones we speak to, they say कि हम Champions Trophy के like मजे अभी तक ले रहे हैं. Well, win a trophy first, and then we'll stop.
Who won it? तुम किसके मजे ले
Yeah.
रहे हो? Give me one trophy after that you won.
They haven't won since a certain individual came into office. I've been saying this for a while, and it held true again. But yeah, I just want to reiterate that, like, I actually like their team now. Like, that's one thing I realized throughout
No,
the
their
course of
team
this
is
I
tournament.
really
really
like them
I
as well.
genuinely
They're
like
elite.
them. I like them as players. I like them as personalities. But you guys have to understand that, like, Pakistan is severely bullied by the PCCI from a strictly cricketing point of view. So anytime these guys catch an L, it's a massive
Oh,
dub for me personally. Like,
which is quite often,
yeah,
surprisingly.
especially when it matters. Unfortunately for them,
Only when it matters.
only when it matters.
And you
Only when it
spoke about
matters.
their players. Obviously spoke about Rohit. Kohli is Kohli.
King.
Bumrah, I think,
King.
is one of the most impressive bowlers. The way he, the way he controls the swing both ways.
He's a freak, bro. He's a freak.
Too good. He's too
It's
good.
insane, right? And you feel for him in the sense that he's had a lot of injuries as well, and luckily for them, he pulled up in time for this World Cup. But yeah, you're seeing him, and Bumrah's usually such a cool, composed character. I don't know if you guys saw when he flicked the bails off, like everything was just going against them, and
Oh,
they
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
they
yeah,
couldn't
with
do
his cap,
anything, right? Like Kohli had that moment where I think Marnus had just walked out, and he just like was staring at him. Like he was doing his best. He
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
as
Oh,
a guy who doesn't really bowl at that point, there's only so much he can do to control or influence the game. So that was what he was trying to do because he is that sort of like imposing character. And I think with Kohli, like we often talk about the way he plays against Pakistan, but I feel like the team he enjoys playing well against the most is Australia. Like you could sense the enjoyment he got out of beating Australia in Australia, and I think today like would have been like the pinnacle moment for him in his career, like beating Australia in a World Cup final. If you ask him, just based on what
Yeah.
I've noticed about him as well. So yeah,
I'm
they're
happy he got to
definitely
his milestone though. That was like my ideal scenario before the game was that Kohli would get some runs, like some type of a milestone to say that he has. That's another thing for him as well. Like when he scored big in a. I'm a big Kohli fan, obviously, but obviously with India
dude.
losing, so I'm happy he.
765 runs in the World Cup is no joke.
Yeah, yeah, not at all.
Like
And bro,
literally,
it
the
was like,
second that happened, it was like Messi 2014
it
vibes.
felt
yeah,
like that.
yeah. It
Exactly, like
was
best player.
it
Yeah.
was like some of the most like quiet 700 runs, and that's like a credit to him. Like he just take the runs off the board so effortlessly, like throughout the World Cup, that it never really struck you as much as like I don't know Quinton de Kock hitting 100 would or something like that, because you've gotten so accustomed to him scoring in every match. The guy's a machine at this stage of his career too, so nothing but respect for him. He obviously looked like dejected after losing,
Yeah,
but I mean you can't. Yeah,
we spoke a lot about like India. I want to talk about my guy Pat Cummins. Uh, as a captain, I don't feel like over the years he's probably gotten the credit that he maybe deserves. We talk a lot about how Babar Azam might have on the field might not be the best tactician, but like he united the dressing room, he put the team together. I feel like Pat Cummins also sort of changed the culture of the Australian cricket team. He is like the perennial nice guy, and you don't associate nice guys with Australian cricket. So just having that sort of captain is it's a different vibe for Australia, but just everything he did today seemed like it was like the hand of God type of situation where starting with his bowling, like the cutters, the variations, and everything. The way he rotated his bowlers, bro. There was a period of the game where he changed bowlers like every over, like just not to let the Indians settle.
Bro, the
He
pairs that he
got
would
through the
throw in there and spread their
fifth
legs.
bowler without India taking any risks against them. Like he basically identified that India targets bowlers not in their first over, but in their second or third over once they get comfortable with them. So he's like, I'm not going to let them settle. Obviously, like part of
Mhm.
that would have been the think tank and the coaches and stuff, but to actually implement that in a game, like rotate your bowlers, not be afraid to get the part timers on Mitchell Marsh with the keeper up against like a batsman like Kohli, that takes balls, man,
what
in
he
the
did to
final.
Sky with the the back
Yeah,
180 degrees of the
Oh,
field
bro,
being
the
completely
setup for Sky was the
is
best.
amazing.
insane. It
Yeah,
was
The
insane.
slow bouncers, man, that was too good.
Incredible. Like
and
Rohit Sharma really answered a lot of my doubts about him in this tournament. Like I have nothing negative to say about him anymore, and I think Pat Cummins, like whatever little doubt I had about him as a captain, like I think the decision uh, to bowl first will go down as one of the bravest decisions ever taken in the
yeah,
history of
dude, I
World
was
Cup
I was
cricket. Right?
surprised that they did that. Credit to them.
They read it exception. They read it perfectly, man. They read it
Hmm.
perfectly. They read it better than India did, because you heard Rohit saying that he would have had a bat first anyways, right?
And that's the thing, right? With India, you get the feeling like they had the best batting lineup in this tournament, the best bowling lineup, the best pacers. Okay, you can say that India will continue probably to produce the level of batsmen that they have right now just because their system is so strong. Obviously, Kohli and Rohit are exceptional, maybe not like that level of player, but they'll still have enough players to deliver these type of performances. Their bowling attack right now is one of the best in the world, which is something they've not always been able to say. They might not get that opportunity again to have such a good bowling lineup. And my point here is essentially if you had a flat wicket with India playing the way they are, they would have overpowered Australia. Like, why would you not back yourself to beat a team under like equal conditions when you are the better team? Why do you overthink and why do you get worried and why do you prepare slow pitch? Because let's not like get this mixed up. Like they definitely had a say, right, in producing that pitch.
And the
Mhm.
semi-final
Like,
one.
yeah, no, I don't even want to
Yeah.
discuss that. The obvious,
So
Bro,
that's
it's like I picked.
What is going to be asked for me on an exam and I still get the answer wrong, right? It was one of those situations there. Anyways, what you were talking about, bro, India's bowling generation. I think if you make India's all-time like ODI team throughout however many they've played, like Shami and Bumrah both make it, right? So you have to
the
feel
Zahir
that the
Khan.
kind of they're both better than him, bro. They're both better than him.
I mean, yeah, but on paper he'll go
He
down
led their
as a
attack,
World Cup
but
winning guy, right?
he will, but just I guess maybe Zaire Khan over Shami, but Shami's numbers have been really
No,
impressive
Chami was
for a really
incredible
long
this World
time,
Cup.
man.
Like, yeah.
And he's been incredible throughout his career, to be fair. And
Mhm.
Bumrah is a freak, right? Like he is non-debatable. So you do feel that they missed a really big opportunity here to do something special, and it
Yeah.
was set up for them. And again, from like a cricketing point of view, you can completely like sympathize with that. It's one of those things where I guess it wasn't meant for them, but everything else lined up perfectly for them. You thought throughout the course, with everybody scoring runs, everyone
Yeah.
taking wickets, they didn't have any glaring weaknesses. And then, like you said, the bowlers looked insane, which is I've never seen an Indian team bowl this well throughout 50 overs.
But it's like you said, man. Like from a cricketing perspective, it's a cruel game sometimes. Like they did everything that they could do to win this World Cup. I guess the only thing in hindsight, and they're obviously not making excuses for it. Rohit Sharma didn't make any excuses. Hardik Pandya was injured at the start of the tournament. If they'd had Hardik in this team instead of Sky with Shami in there as well, I think like they probably would have done better in this game, not just from a bowling perspective, but from a batting perspective. Because I feel like Hardik's an adaptable player, and he's like the type of guy you want in your team for these sort of games, like the arrogance
In a fight, you want
in a
Hardik
fight.
Pandya in
Yeah,
the fight,
yeah.
right? He's one of those guys.
hmm
I think him like the drop off between Jadeja or Sky coming in at number 6 in that situation in a final from Hardik Pandya is massive. I think
Yeah.
it's a huge drop off. So I think they really missed him in the final, and he could have been a difference maker for sure.
In going into the tournament, even I think we were talking or something, and I told you like I think this guy is India's most important player.
Yeah,
He
it's
gets
his
so much.
personality also, but it's also the player he is. Because if you look at every
Oh,
team,
it's
2019, who won the
the
World Cup?
complete
Who won the World Cup for England? Ben Stokes,
Ben Stokes
fast bowling
exactly.
all rounder, who
The
is a top
umpires.
batsman and a top Yes, that's true. Sorry.
That's yeah. So that that position is so important in today's game.
The umpires here.
Which umpire?
So
That's the position that's important.
Well, it is a position that's important. since that asshole, what Alex Worf was it, screwed the entire tournament for us.
वो
Like,
स्मिथ ने रिव्यू क्यों नहीं
bro.
लिया यार?
Oh yeah,
What was that? Oh my god.
Doesn't
No, they also had that umpire's call where Bumrah got Labuschagne. It looked plumb, bro. I don't know how the umpire didn't give that. And it
Bro,
ended
why
up being
does David
umpire's
Warner
call.
lose his cojones versus India, bro? Like,
Dude,
this
okay, bro, the way he came down
the
the
first
track, I was
ball
like,
was
isko kuch
scary.
samajh nahi aaya, bro. Like, the way he was moving around, I guess the ball was moving so much, he's like, I have to do something, but he almost seemed to do
Yeah.
too much, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
relax.
Yeah.
यार
After
हम
getting
ये
that,
बातें
like,
करते हैं पॉडकास्ट बनाते हैं लेकिन एंड में ऑस्ट्रेलिया को बियर शू से ही पीना होता है किसी टूर्नामेंट जीतने के बाद लाइक इट सीम्स सो यूजलेस एट द एंड
Bro,
ऑफ इट ऑल
क्रिकेट
कि
खेलना
लाइक
छोड़ ही देते हैं यार, इनको लाइक दे देते हैं ट्रॉफी, लाइक फायदा क्या है आने का? सब आते हैं, 1-2 महीने जाया करते हैं, एंड में दिल ही टूटते हैं सबके. यही ले जाते हैं. And also the other
दिल
thing,
टूटने का भी मजा होता है. makes you want it just that much more.
it's so crazy, right? Like they had an insane World Cup. We had like the shittiest World Cup we could have even imagined. And we're sitting
Yeah.
here.
And look how it's
Yeah.
ending. Like, guess who's laughing now?
यार हमारी टीम जितनी भी बेकार हो ना if they lose it doesn't even
हम तो
matter
कह रहे हैं
but-
बेकार है. हम तो कह रहे हैं क्या हो गया? हमने इतनी कहानियां थोड़ी चढ़ाई थी बेंच.
हमने बोले थे जियान. तुमने शायद नहीं बोले होगे, लेकिन हम दोनों ने बोले थे.
हम लंडे भाई.
हम दोनों ने बड़े बोले थे. तो काफी शर्मिंदगी हुई थी यार.
हाँ तुम दोनों ने वैसे
हम कुछ ज्यादा ही फ्री हो गए थे ब्रो वो पेप्सी भी स्ट्रांग हो
लोगों
गई
ने
थी ना, वो पी पी के हम भी पागल हो गए थे ब्रो। मैं लगा कुछ करेंगे इस टाइम,
damn.
लेकिन wasn't to be.
एंड में बाबर आजम को ऑन द फील्ड कम देखा, पैंथर टायर के एड में ज्यादा देखा ब्रो.
Babar Azam just had a howler of a
Yeah,
tournament.
bichara man. I'm hoping Australia has
Yeah,
tours
yeah.
for him now.
It's a canon event,
Yeah,
bro. It's gonna
yeah,
help him.
yeah, exactly.
He's gonna become better.
Anything else? We spoke for 40 minutes and we haven't mentioned the man of the match. Travis Head, what a
Travis Head.
performance, man. Like these guys, 47
The
for
most
3.
clutch player of all time.
47 for 3
Yeah.
in a World Cup final. India, like the crowd is on top. Like
It was India's game at that point, bro. It was
atmosphere
India's
at
game at
that
that
point was going to win them the World Cup
Can't
on
be
its
worse,
own.
bro.
It was like
Yeah.
scary.
Oof.
And this
Yeah.
guy
Yes.
and him and Labuschagne, like young players, like making their name in the game. Labuschagne wasn't even in the World Cup squad to begin with. That's the thing about Australia,
Oh my
yeah.
God, yeah,
Like, look,
bro.
Travis Head was injured and they kept him in the squad. Labuschagne was not even in the original squad, and they just come out and win a World Cup.
That's beautiful. That's actually that's poetic.
That was poetic. And you could hear it's like they interviewed him after the game, which I looked like he was about to cry. Like he
Yeah.
was nowhere in the limited overs team, and then to play such
And
a
his knock
great
was
knock in the
crucial as
final.
well. Like,
Really
obviously,
crucial
Travis Head
knock.
will take the flowers,
dude.
but just hanging in there.
Bro,
at that
that's a
time.
huge knock and a huge partnership because, like, at that point, it looked like India was going to win, especially how Australia had collapsed every time we've seen them. So, for them to kind of steady the ship at that point was one of the clutchest final partnerships you could hope to see.
And it's interesting, right? Because India obviously had a philosophy that obviously helped by the star players that they have, but they had a clear like identity of what they were gonna or the way they were gonna play. Australia didn't. They were really figuring themselves out over the course of this World Cup. They didn't know what their best 11 was going to be, but at the end of the day, they had the players to do what it took on the day to win a game beyond any like overarching philosophy or this is the way we play or like, the way England talk about baseball and their approach and everything. There's none of that. They just go out and win. Just winning is all that matters to them, and they did exactly that.
Bro, they're the Real Madrid of cricket.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
just it's royalty. It's in their DNA. They know how to win.
Yep.
They, like, just have
For
to
sure,
commend
bro.
them.
They've got like a treble this year in itself, and then obviously they won
And
the
this
T20 World
this
Cup
is not
years
looked
ago.
at as if it's their like great generation or anything like that. In fact, all of us, I didn't have them in the semis. I thought, okay, this is whatever Australia team. We always think that they have a Test Championship, T20 World Cup,
Especially with the
and
start
ODI
as well,
World Cup within like 2 years.
Yeah, and it's not their best World Cup team, but I would argue of the six, it's maybe the best World Cup, based on who they beat,
Yeah.
where they beat them. Like, bro, if you look at Australia's teams before, I mean, 2003 they had like a guy like Michael Bevan who was like Dhoni before Dhoni coming in, and then you look at the years later, like ek se ek tum naam gino, they're all like these Hall of Fame players, and this again was just like a somewhat misfitted, unorthodox type of team. You have Mitchell Marsh batting at three. Maxwell is like your last line of defense, and he's like a glorified Afridi in a lot of ways, like a very refined version of him. And you don't feel too safe with their batting lineup, but the fact that they got it done, it just speaks of like the level of pressure they can play under, and how Zian said like cricket is just in their blood. Uh, their ability to compete with anyone is insane. And then you have Pat Cummins coming out with like what's going to go down as one of the biggest quotes ever, that we want to silence 100,000
That was
whatever
so
people.
cold, bro.
So cold, bro.
Cold. Oh, what a team! Wow.
What a team! What a team!
Never like I don't know. It's like a certain part of me used to think that maybe they could choke, but like I've never been so convinced that a team would win and them not win.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like this. I don't know if that was ignorance on my part or if it actually like the gulf between the two teams or what we perceived was that big. But it just felt like such a historic upset, if you will.
It's insane,
Yeah.
right?
But
Because
then when you think
Australia,
about it,
like,
was it an
you would never in
For
cricket
sure.
they
ever
also are
have
winning
Australia
T20
down as like
bro.
winning and it be an upset. But the margin for this
Exactly.
game was like so big in the way they eventually like won so
The
clinically. Like obviously
context
India had their
is
moments, but even in the lead up to it, the way Australia were playing,
yeah.
the way India were playing, like one of the all-time campaigns from India in a World Cup. 10 out of 10, obliterating oppositions, and maybe that's what it was at the end of the day. Australia had to struggle and face those tough moments and tough games, and really,
Yeah,
work hard to get into that and face and be under pressure in
yeah,
different games while India cruised through. And at the end of the day, we spoke about the fact that unlike previous tournaments, their middle order was actually tested this World Cup, but the lower order was not. Like Jadeja, yes, he had a 50 against New Zealand, or like at least a match-winning innings. But Sky, beyond that innings against England, wasn't really tested under pressure. Um, and yeah, and to be fair, we didn't speak about that England game. They got bowled out for 230 in that game as well. It's just that their bowlers destroyed England.
They
So
just
no one
that's just the
really,
type of form they were
yeah.
in. No, and I think what you talked about is true. Like I've noticed this across sports. Like if you have, especially when it's just like one match, right? Like it's especially when it's only one match knockout. If you're a team who's won everything, and then the other team is one who's like scrapped and clawed a little bit and gotten there, I reckon you'd probably be the latter team in that situation. Just because you've seen some shit in that tournament, right? Like for India, this was probably the first time that like shit actually hit the fan for them.
hmm
And they still made a game out of it, but you could see like with Australia, they could have easily panicked with the way Rohit got started off, right? They were I think almost 80 for 1 or something, going about eight and a half and over, and that catch just changed everything, which is what it takes in these types of situations.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have anything
hmm
else to add?
Uh, Not really. I want a separate video from you, both of you, on your thoughts on Pakistan going forward
Yeah, yeah.
with Hafiz,
So
Wahab Riaz,
So the
everyone.
plan
So I want
there
like,
is कि World Cup का एक debrief करेंगे. अगर अरमान राजी हो,
yeah,
have to put that asterisk on there.
यार बनता है.
And then
Arman,
we'll do
come
a
on.
going forward
This
also.
is this is the moment when, come on, अब तो वो हार गए ना, अब तो खैर है, अब तो अब कर सकते हैं. Now find out what the problems were and how to get to the promised land that we oh so desire.
We'll try to find something, bro. We've got bro Zian. There's so much
But
shit going.
with
Like
professor in charge,
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't
man, bro Zian, we talked here almost an hour talking crap about like the BCCI and their team, but bro, like we could make like a triple length episode on like our own problems. So
Yeah.
we needed like a mental health break before we start
yeah,
talking about Pakistan cricket again.
I don't want to face that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm diverting my attention with this whilst I can. I hope I get a larger influx of videos from you guys because it just makes me happy and I love spending my time on it. So
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate that,
I
bro.
will, yeah, see you guys soon then.
Take care.
Thank you for
Thank you all
coming on.
for listening, and we'll be back soon.